Greetings, Darklings, 'tis I, Toasted Heretic, and today we are going to be looking at a non-goth band, part of our series of five bands that Americans think of goth and us here in the UK do not. And it goes 5-1 in controversy form, in my opinion. So we're going to start number 5 with Echo and the Bunnymen.
You wait until you give yourself to him.
Yes, people, because I have seen over the last few weeks numerous things on Facebook, on Instagram and TikTok of American creators doing various bits about goth. There's one guy doing stuff about goth songs and films, etc. and etc. And you know the sort of thing you get, people putting out goth videos and blah blah blah. And Echo and the Bunnymen keep coming up. Now, in my mind, Echo and the Bunnymen were never goth in any way whatsoever. And I don't care what YouTube says, don't care what Instagram says, not goth. I'll tell you a quick story before we get really into it. I first saw Echo and the Bunnymen on the Ocean Rain tour, which is like Killing Moon period Echo and the Bunnymen. And at the gig, there was one goth. One. That was me. That was it. But before we get really into it, let's give them our goth rating points. 5 areas to cover, 10 points maximum. So here we go. Doom Tune, I'm only going to give them 6. And I'm going to come back to it because it's a major part. Needless to say, there are lots of Doom tunes from Echo and the Bunnymen, but not all. The Black Factor, I'm just going to give them 3. Do you know what? Echo and the Bunnymen wore as much black as any other band, but not overt the amount of black on them. They weren't known for wearing black. I remember them wearing quite a lot of check shirts, to be honest with you. I know Ian McCulloch had the spiky sort of hair, but didn't everyone back then? Death Dancing, I'm going to give them 0 for Death Dancing. I have, in all my time going to alt clubs, goth clubs, all different nights out, I have never heard an Echo and the Bunnymen tune played. It was a real shame. I quite like to dance to the cutter, but I've never heard, and you couldn't really dance to Killing Moon, could you? So, no, I'm going to give them 0. Guyliner, also 0, because they never wore any makeup whatsoever, apart from the usual sort of thing for doing Top of the Pops or a TV show, but not actual stage makeup or any kind of look like that whatsoever. And finally, Life After Death, open brackets, influence, close brackets. I'm going to give them 3. Echo and the Bunnymen are still going, but I mean they're a sad shadow of what they once were, and they have influenced other bands undoubtedly. I mean, the Mighty Lemon Drops, I don't know if you remember them, though, they actually were quite big in the States as well. We're very much a sort of indie rock band from the 90s. They were almost a tribute act to Echo and the Bunnymen at times. I think that Muse have definitely owned the first 3 Echo and the Bunnymen albums. I think that really comes across, especially in the early stuff. And I would also say the same about Radiohead. As bands off the top of my head that I think have definitely got a certain amount of Bunnymen influence in varying degree. None of them are goth. So that gives us a total of 12 out of 50 potential goth points. It's not looking good, is it? Yeah? Now, let's be frank about this. Why do Americans think that Echo and the Bunnymen are goth? Here's why I think. They have come to prominence, Echo and the Bunnymen came to prominence in the States due to their appearance or their music experience in 2 films. The first being Donnie Darko, which features an extensive clip of The Killing Moon, and the second being The Lost Boys, which has got a cover of Echo and the Bunnymen, doing a cover of The Doors' People Are Strange. So, it's Donnie Darko, it's got Darko in the title, Killing Moon's got the word killing in the title. They're quite a morose sounding band, and of course, The Lost Boys, covering a Doors song, often seen on the big influence on goth, The Doors, and it's a film about vampires. How can they not be goth? How can they not be goth? Well, in tons of ways, they were never ever goth. That's just association, not form. So I think you have to get into the fact, and I'm going to go back now to the Doom Tune thing. First 3 Echo and the Bunnymen albums, which, by the way, let me make this clear, I adore. I think they are absolutely brilliant albums. You've got Crocodiles, Heaven Up Here, and Porcupine are doom-fested slabs of doom rock. I think they would be called post-punk in this country now. I'd probably call post-punk in the States as well by sane people. Sorry, I'm not calling anyone who thinks Echo and the Bunnymen are goth in America insane. I just don't see it. But, as I say, post-punk very much seen in the UK as being a post-punk band. And people often cite the Killing Moon. Look, Echo and the Bunnymen were quite morose. They were quite doomy sounding in parts. Are you going to claim any morose or doomy or down song as goth? Are you going to say, call Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles goth? Are you going to call The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel goth? Because that's where you're going if you carry on down this road. Not only that, but While We're Killing Moon, which is from the excellent Ocean Rain album, was the breakthrough song in the States and was a big hit here in the UK as well, very much a crossover top 40 national chart hit. The next three singles, Lips Like Sugar, Seven Seas, were the two other singles I think of Ocean Rain, are borderline jolly. They're certainly up-tempo and quite happy. And Silver, which was the lead single from the next album, which was just called Echo and the Bunnymen, which is alright. But Silver, which is the big hit single of that, is positively upbeat. Oh yeah, they had their happy moments in amongst the doom and gloom, especially around that Killing Moon period. And there's also, let's do a little bit of history and let's look at where Echo and the Bunnymen come from. They came from Liverpool in the very late 70s, going into the early 80s. They were part of a scene based around the club Heretic's in Liverpool, which brought us to Teardrop Explodes, Dead or Alive, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and Echo and the Bunnymen, all part of a scene. None of those are goth, are they? Absolutely none of them. They were ended up on a record label called Zoo, which is where their first releases were, a little independent label in Liverpool, run by Dave Balfe and Bill Drummond. Dave Balfe and Bill Drummond then managed Echo and the Bunnymen and produced the first Echo and the Bunnymen Crocodiles, a bit of a classic album, by the way. That's Bill Drummond. Don't know if you know him, also known as chart-topping rave person, the KLF. That's Bill Drummond's one half of the KLF and the Time Lords. Remember the novelty hit Doctor? That's the guy who managed Echo and the Bunnymen, like with novelty rave hits, and the KLF, who I like a great deal. They were big at the time in that rave alt scene. Number one with numerous hits in the UK. What they're not is goth in any way, shape, or form. That is the background. When Echo and the Bunnymen were around, who were their contemporaries? Bands like Simple Minds or The Fall or The Smiths, and I'll give you this, most people into Echo and the Bunnymen were into The Cure as well, but hey, The Cure right across, well, definitely goth, all sorts of people like The Cure, but this is the nail in the coffin, so to speak, of Echo and the Bunnymen's gothdom for you. If there was ever a band that you would put, and I'm going right back to that period, I'm not really interested in the Bunnymen in later years because they were very good. Their first three albums, as I say, were classics. I really love Ocean Rain as well, and their fifth one is. But you know what? Check out those first four albums. If you're a goth and you don't mind stepping out of the goth zone and listening to some great music, go there, listen to them. But at that time, and I'm old enough to have been around at that time, everyone, and I mean everyone in the UK, who liked Echo and the Bunnymen, loved another band who also reasonably big in the States for the exact same reason Echo and the Bunnymen crossed over, and that, of course, is films. And that band are the Psychedelic Furs. The Psychedelic Furs really crossed over into Echo and Bunnymen territory. Most people love both bands. Psychedelic Furs, obviously, Pretty in Pink, you remember that film? The film was actually based around the song, and then they re-recorded it for the film and had a big hit in the States with it. Love My Way was a big hit in the States as well, as was, what's the song called? The Ghost in You, even though it's got Ghost in the title, totally not goth, as are non-goth anything else by the Psychedelic Furs. I don't see any of you good people in America going, yeah, we're claiming Psychedelic Furs as goth, because they're not. And neither are Echo and the Bunnymen. Now I'm doing a little series of these, 1 to 5 bands that Americans think of goth, as I say, and people here in the UK don't. It's in a playlist. Like and subscribe so you can see the rest. They do get way more controversial as we go. The Americans probably reckon the Bunnymen are controversial. I don't know. If you enjoyed it, as I say, please do like the video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out. Have fun. Mwah.